I'll try this one, yep. Good morning, everyone. If I can have your attention. I'd like to call a meeting to order. I know that there are still people on the lower level that are registering for this conference, and that's a good thing for our conference, but we'll start the conference anyway. And I would ask you to please rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please remain standing. Please remain standing, and I'm going to ask that we take a moment of silence to show our gratitude and respect for the sacrifices of our military personnel who have served our country and for those we have lost this year. Thank you. Please be seated. I would like to thank retired Corporal Wayne McGilvery for leading us in the singing of O Canada this morning. And I will introduce your board members. I will kindly ask, although it may be difficult to hold your applause till after they are introduced, board members please stand and remain standing. Vice President Carmen Sterling, Bill Huber, Division 1 Director, Norm Ragulan, Division 2 Director, Larry Grant, Division 3 Director, Harvey Milanowicz, Division 4, Judy Harwood, Division 5, Rodney Wins, Division 6 Director, and Wendy Gauda, ex officio. And Jay Meyer is our Executive Director. And thanks for all being in attendance here this morning. You may be seated. This is a conference where our wives don't often attend, but I'd like to introduce my wife here this morning as the lady that has been accompanying me, I think, pretty much to every SARM convention since I've been on the SARM board. So Val, please take us down. Okay, thank you. I'll ask Jay to come forward and make a few announcements.
Good morning to you all and welcome to the SARM Midterm Convention. Our board and staff would like to thank you all for attending this year's event, and bear with me as I have a few announcements to make in moving forward of this year's agenda. So number one, we've got the convention office. SARM has a convention office located just down the hallway past the coffee station in the Blair Nelson room, so it's just down that way. If you have any questions, SARM staff are available to help you. Our exits, as you would notice as you came in over here, we got some exits. They're just over here, and as well as, I believe there's some over here on the back, to the left here, an emergency exit. Washrooms are also down the hallway, past the coffee area, across from the elevators. So they're also down by the convention office. We do have our calendars here today. Someone from the municipality should have received the 2019 desktop, wall, and pocket calendars when you registered. If you have not registered or received your calendars, please be sure to stop by the registration desk located in the lobby. And lunch is not provided at this convention. We do have a message center. The phone number for the convention message center is 306-975-7818. Messages will be taken at the SARM convention office. We also have point of privilege resolutions. The point of privilege resolutions process is as follows. A printed copy of the proposed point of privilege resolution must be submitted by the end of today's scheduled proceedings, which is 5 p.m. If you have a resolution you would like to consider, it should be delivered to myself or Christina at the SARM office or the convention office located in the Blair Nelson room. So at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, the operative clause of each resolution will be presented to the delegates to determine if it needs to be dealt with. Resolutions receiving approval of 2/3 of the voting delegates shall be considered, and then we'll deal with them immediately. We also have voting on resolutions. Each RM is allowed 2 voters who were given electronic voting devices at the registration desk. Be sure not to lose them, and please remember them each day of convention. We have a number of sponsors to thank that have supported us during this convention. WSP is our coffee sponsor for all of today and tomorrow. They are also the sponsor of our resolution book. You can find their ad in the back inside copy of that resolution book. Trans-Canada Pipeline is our registration sponsor. Sask Power is also one of our generous sponsors for our convention. You'll hear from them in our workshops. Napa is another sponsor of our resolution book. Their ad will be found in the centerfold of our book. Our video sponsor for this morning is Titan Environmental, and this afternoon is ACP Applied Products. Purelinger Group Benefits are also sponsors of our video services today. Another generous sponsor of our convention is Plains Midstream Canada. Thank you to Success Office Systems for supplying us with our office equipment for our SARM convention office. Our sponsors have displays set up in the back of the convention hall. Please stop by and visit them. We also have a few information booths. We have SARM Trading Services, the Agriculture Health and Safety Network, Affinity Credit Union, Crime Stoppers, as well as Southeast College. Mike Morris and Andrew Svensson from SARM's legal department are at the convention, both today and tomorrow, and will be available if you'd like to meet with either one of them. As are Dana Smaltz and Jennifer Chamberlain. They're our community planners. They're available to meet with anybody that wishes to meet with them as well. As are Dan Segal and Alex Uday, the SARM Municipal Bridge Services. They'll be able to meet with you guys at any time as well. So please make an appointment in our SARM office, back by the washrooms there, if you'd like to meet with any of our staff. We will also be selling 50-50 tickets throughout the convention, with all proceeds going to STARS. Tickets are $2 each, or 3 for $5. Tickets can be purchased over to the side of the hall near the stairs, just that way. The draw will be made tomorrow right before lunch. A reminder of those involved with the Municipal Administrators Internship Program, or MAPE. A meeting will be held tomorrow over the lunch hour in Gallery A, located on the main level. SARM is also on Twitter if you have Twitter, so please follow us at SARM_voice to stay up to date with our meetings, news, and events. If you're tweeting about the convention this week, please use hashtag SARM Midterm 2018. Some of the input SARM receives at our previous convention and feedback forums have been excessive noise throughout the convention hall. While the convention is in session, delegates are asked to be courteous and keep the table conversations to a minimum. Should the noise level get a bit too high, you may see a quiet please message flashing on the screens. And also please, if you could put your cell phones, either turn them off or put them on vibrate, it would be greatly appreciated. But all in all, we'd like to thank you for your commitment to not only your individual rural municipalities, but also the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities. I wish you all a pleasurable stay in Saskatoon and look forward to visiting with you. And at this time, I will introduce SARM's president. Ray was born in Regina and was raised on a farm in the Markinch district. He completed his secondary education at the Robert Southey School and upon graduation was employed at the Consumers Cooperative Refinery in Regina from 1969 to 1977, during which he farmed part-time. In 1978, his family moved to Cupar, where he began full-time farming and operated a mixed farm with his wife Val for many years. In 1985, Ray decided to enter the world of municipal politics. He was elected as a councillor in the RM of Cupar and then Reeve in 1995, a position he currently holds. He was both a director and president of the Regina District Association of Rural Municipalities for several years. He was elected as SARM's director for Division 2 in 2004 and the vice president in 2010. In 2014, Ray was elected as the president of SARM. He currently sits on 12 committees of SARM, including being the chair of SARM's Agriculture Committee. Ray sits on the executive board and is part of 3 committees of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, including being chair of the Rural Forum, and is currently a member of the executive committee as a representative of the affiliate members Rural Provincial Association. Ray has completed training through the Municipal Leadership Development Program as well as the Pacific Institute. Some of the governance training he has received was through the Rotman School of Management of the University of Toronto and the Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy at the University of Regina. Ray and his wife Val have 3 kids, Chelsea, Jocelyn, and Jared, and are proud grandparents to 2 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. In his personal life, he enjoys fishing as well as watching movies, but most of the time he enjoys being with his friends and family. So please join me in welcoming our president, Ray Orb.
Thank you, Jay. Good morning again, Reeves, councillors, administrators, and special guests. And it looks like this morning we have a full house, and I'm really pleased to see that. It's nice to recognize so many faces around the room and to actually meet some new people as well. So on behalf of the SARM Board of Directors, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you this morning. Our midterm convention provides a great opportunity to identify how we can work together to better our RMs, our communities, and the province as well. I've said this before, but leadership really does begin at the local level. The role of municipal council is an important one, and it's why we joined forces with SUMA and the Saskatchewan School Board Association, yesterday actually, to have this week proclaimed as Local Government Week in Saskatchewan. And I'd just like to mention that Minister Kading is in the room, and he'll be speaking shortly. But I'd like to recognize SUMA President Gordon Barnhart, who's here this morning. And we did have a joint press conference here. Good morning, Gordon. Nice to see you. And I know that he has some of his board members here and executive director as well. I'm really pleased to see you here today. So it's fitting to recognize the role of local government during this convention. And SARM believes that good governance is fundamental in operating autonomous and successful municipalities, and that is why we have undertaken a capacity plan initiative. And we want to be in the best position to support your needs as our members. And that starts with an understanding of where we're at. So we started to survey the leaders in rural Saskatchewan. Administrators across the province have already participated in an administrator's survey. And Reeves and councillors are currently being invited to shed some light from a municipal perspective in a similar survey. So I would encourage all municipal leaders to complete the survey so we have the best information to build a plan forward. We are asking that all Reeves and councillors provide us with their email address. We want to provide relevant information to the right people. So please, at the end of the convention, write your email on the back of your name tag and drop it in the box by the registration desk. And we will do a draw for a PV Mart gift card for all of those that have provided their email information to us. So staying on top of issues is really what brings us to the SARM convention today, to provide our members, RMs, with learning and networking opportunities, and to hear back from RMs so we can best represent your concerns before federal and provincial governments. It will come as no surprise to this group that we continue to advocate on your behalf. And I'd like to take a few minutes to highlight some of the lobby efforts that stand out in my mind. You've likely heard that the government in Saskatchewan has its court date set in which they will plead their constitutional reference case opposing a federally imposed carbon tax. SARM continues to stand up for rural Saskatchewan, and we know that a carbon tax is not the most effective policy tool to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and that our farmers and ranchers will be unfairly disadvantaged under a federal carbon tax. We have all a role to play in addressing climate change, and rural Saskatchewan, we believe, is doing just that. We understand that pipelines are an environmentally favorable alternative to transporting oil. Energy infrastructure, such as pipeline expansion, plays a role in reducing emissions and effectively addresses climate change. And by taking more oil off the rail, it frees up rail transportation for the movement of grain, which is really important. SARM also understands the focus on renewable energy to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We know that Sask Power has laid out a plan to transition the grid to 50% renewable energy by 2030. It will rely heavily on wind power. And we know that many municipalities are involved in wind and solar projects across the province, and they're doing their part to reduce their carbon footprint. And so are farmers and ranchers with zero-till farming practice and carbon sequestration are doing their part. We believe science and innovation will do more to contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gases than a tax that penalizes people that are already assisting in the reduction of greenhouse gases. Agriculture is an important industry in this province, and SARM continues to voice our concerns on grain transportation and grain movement. We've been involved in multiple consultations on Bill C-49. And although we are pleased with reciprocal penalties and the provision for informal dispute resolutions included in Bill C-69, without adequate enforcement mechanisms, this bill will not bring about meaningful change. Our recent trip to Ottawa also gave us the opportunity to meet with the folks at the Pest Management Regulatory Agency to talk about strychnine. And SARM consulted with the stakeholders and our membership to inform our response to the revaluation of strychnine. And past studies have proven that strychnine is the most effective method of gopher control when applied according to the instructions. Representatives from the PRMRA will be here tomorrow morning to meet with our members to discuss concerns and issues with the revaluation, and I would encourage you all to attend to be part of this important consultation. Another important issue to rural Saskatchewan is infrastructure, of course, and we're pleased that the province has signed a bilateral agreement with the federal government, but we have still questions about some of the dollars that are going to be allocated for rural municipalities. We know that bridge infrastructure is an issue for our RMs, and we're consulting with our members to identify a plan that we can take back to the provincial federal governments. And SARM has hired McNair and Associates to provide feedback to us in regards to the magnitude of the problem in order to better define what our ask of senior governments should be. SARM also continues to lobby on broadband infrastructure and the lack of affordable internet and cellular service that can leave rural Saskatchewan at a disadvantage. And we continue to press both levels of government for a solution to this challenge. We also remain committed to the issue of rural crime prevention. Rural Crime Watch, Crime Stoppers, the discussions surrounding regional policing, and the Provincial Protection and Response Team are all part of the tools available to ensure our communities remain safe. We are currently working with stakeholders, including the Ministry of Corrections and Policing and the RCMP, to establish a provincial Rural Crime Watch Association. The Rural Crime Watch program has been significantly growing over the last couple of years, and there are nearly 100 municipalities involved in this initiative. A provincial association would provide consistency in the program across the province and allow Rural Crime Watch groups and the RCMP detachments to share information with one another. Tied to this is the province's recent review of the trespass-related legislation, and members have passed multiple resolutions related to trespassing over the last several years. The consistent theme in these resolutions is a need for legislation to require individuals to acquire permission from a landowner before they access private land. We also recognize the need for consistency across all trespass-related legislation. The SARM continues to lobby on the resolutions you pass at these conventions, and we continue to meet with the federal government to ensure that they understand our province and they understand rural Saskatchewan. We continue to engage with the provincial government to keep the consultation and conversation relevant to rural municipalities. And we continue to align our federal and provincial budget recommendations to meet the demands of our rural members. SARM understands the meaning and the importance of community, and it's why we encourage cooperation and collaboration, and we know that we need to work together to make change for the better. I had the opportunity recently to be part of a panel on rural development at the Canadian Rural Revitalization Foundation conference here in Saskatoon, and the focus of the panel was about identifying opportunities to municipal Indigenous collaboration. And SARM's Indigenous Task Force, the Rural Indigenous Task Force, is identifying how municipalities can work with First Nations on common interests like economic development, land use planning, shared service agreements, and an emergency response fund. And these are opportunities that will all benefit all the residents in rural Saskatchewan. So I'm reminded of Margaret Mead's famous words, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." It sums up what we can accomplish when we work together. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope to connect with you over the next few days. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is my honor this morning to introduce Minister Kading, our Minister of Government Relations, and we're pleased to have him with us this morning. Warren was elected MLA for Melville Saltcoats in the April 2016 provincial election, and he received his Bachelor of Science in Agriculture from the University of Saskatchewan in 1985 and worked as a territory manager for Hearst Ag from 1986 to 1996. And from 1986 to 2011, Warren also was the owner-operator of Wagon Wheel Seed Corporation. Warren served as the executive director for the Saskatchewan Farm Stewardship Association and advisor to the Agriculture Development Fund. He was a crop inspector with Max Core Ventures and a business development rep for Input Capital. In addition to his busy personal life, Warren is professional life. You know he has a personal life. Warren is involved in his community as chair of the local economic development board. He is an elder in his church, and he's a member of the Lions Club, and an official with local minor hockey and baseball. Warren's experience in agriculture, business, youth education, and employment bring the right mix of experience and enthusiasm to the constituency. He currently serves Saskatchewan on the Standing Committee on Crown and Central Agencies. Warren and his wife, Karia, have 2 adult sons. Please join me in welcoming Minister Kading.
Well, thank you, Ray, for that introduction. I'm curious. I heard about a calendar, a SARM calendar here, and I'm wondering if it has pictures of the 12 rock stars of SARM or what the pictures are. I'm hoping it's not Jay in his summer attire is what I'm hoping. But I hope everyone was able to get harvest off and got the roads graveled. And, you know, if you say it real fast, there's only 6 more months till winter's over. But I want to acknowledge that we gather here today in Saskatoon in Treaty 6 territory in the homeland of the Métis. On behalf of Premier Scott Moe and the Government of Saskatchewan, I'm pleased to be with you here this morning as the Minister of Government Relations and the Minister responsible for First Nations, Métis, and Northern Affairs. Today, I want to touch on a few topics, specific topics really, that include intermunicipal cooperation, which I think I mention every time that I get to be in front of SARM and SUMA. I want to talk about infrastructure, municipal revenue sharing and tax tools, conflict of interest rules and public disclosure, and lastly, the municipal peer network. It's really a broad range of topics, but are ones that I want to touch on as 2018 draws to a close and as we look toward 2019 and beyond. So let me begin, though, by reminding everyone that in Saskatchewan, it's now Local Government Week from November 12th to November 16th, President Orban talked about. And I had the honor of signing the Certificate of Recognition, designating the week in our great province. And that was followed by a joint request to proclaim it from SARM, SUMA, and the Saskatchewan School Board Association. And really, this week is to acknowledge the dedication and hard work of those who serve as reeves, mayors, councillors, school trustees, administrators, and educators. Those of you on the front lines of government and related services in your communities. Honestly, I believe you as officials, in your municipal officials, have one of the hardest jobs there are in this province today. And I also want to congratulate those of you who were elected for the first time to serve in your municipalities last month. I want to say welcome, and I wish you good luck. I also want to thank those of you who have been elected before and choose to continue to serve your ratepayers. It's important to also recognize Indigenous leaders, their councils, and their administrations. And I really want to thank SARM for showing leadership by working on increased cooperation between First Nations and rural municipalities. Working on key areas of education and awareness, communications and partnerships. My understanding is that SARM has had regular meetings of its rural Indigenous working groups and several meetings with the Office of the Treaty Commissioner, which we actually just came from meetings with this morning. And this all shows good potential, including SARM's efforts to engage elected officials from First Nations and adjacent municipalities really to work together on economic development and land use planning. These forms of government that I just mentioned are each unique, and their decision makers are the ones closest to the people that they serve. They all have similar goals, and really that's to make their communities better and to provide services to improve the quality of life for their citizens. For today, for tomorrow, and for future generations. And that's why I want to continue to challenge those of you here today to build on this positive work and really consider intermunicipal cooperation when it makes sense on future projects and initiatives. To keep looking at ways to work with the region, with your rural, your urban, and your Indigenous neighbors to provide the best, most efficient, cost-effective services that you can. Maybe it's working together to provide fire and emergency planning services, or to build infrastructure, or maybe to address a prevailing need for the area. The bottom line, teamwork and regional planning can help communities reach a common goal. And it makes it easier, really, for developers and businesses to invest in an area by creating really consistent bylaw and permit requirements. I use the Calling Lakes Calling Region, or the Calling Lakes Planning District, as a great example. And really it consists of official and associate members such as the ARM of North Qu'Appelle, the town of Fort Qu'Appelle, the village of Lebret, the resort villages of the district of Katepwa, the Seta, and Fort San, and the Treaty 4 Tribal Council. And they have created consistent bylaw requirements making it easier for businesses and developments to invest in the participating municipalities. Each community is on a level playing field working towards the betterment of that region. By doing this, communities create predictable development standards for businesses and can coordinate growth for the betterment of the region. Greater cooperation can also help with another important aspect, and that's really the efficiency of resources. So this can be shared staff, such as maybe engineers, planners, building officials, by law enforcement officers and administrators. Limited dollars can be stretched further by having a group of municipalities cost share those professionals. Partnerships can also help smaller municipalities address staffing challenges such as recruitment, training, and retention. Or maybe it's just getting together, with your neighbors. I know, I believe there was a meeting in Melfort last week that consisted of 12 municipalities and 12 communities that just got together to discuss items of mutual interest. And I hope meetings like that continue and are expanded throughout the province. Really finding efficient use of available funding is a key ingredient for growth. And I recognize there's going to be challenges along the way, but it's important to overcome these challenges for the betterment of all of your communities. To help municipalities address these challenges, the Ministry of Government Relations is hosting a regional planning forum this December. And I hope everybody saw the details in the October edition of Municipalities Today. That's GR's online newsletter that is sent to your email boxes regularly. And I encourage you to read it, as it has some very, very useful information in it. So this December event will gather regional planning groups from across Saskatchewan to share stories and best practices with you. This event is going to help communities build capacity for voluntary regional planning. As well, it's going to help the ministry develop education and training resources that many municipalities have requested. So by working together to reach a common objective, teamwork and regional cooperation can help facilitate the growth and development of this great province. It's going to help improve the quality of life to serve all of our citizens, and really without a loss of autonomy. So on another note, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Civic Addressing Registry Initiative. And I know this is a very important program that helps us to provide accurate location data to emergency response services such as ambulances, fire crews, and police. Sometimes land locations can be very difficult to recall in an emergency, especially if it's away from your home yard. Rural municipalities in this province have done a good job of signing up, as I believe we have 201 RMs participating. However, that still leaves about 94 that haven't. And we encourage you to work with your councils and administrators to ensure that every municipality is registered. And you're going to hear me mention this every time until we get 100% of the RMs participating. So as you know, to improve a community's quality of life, one of the key ingredients is infrastructure investment. And those core physical parts of any community that do important things like provide clean water to drink and treat wastewater, protect the environment, we clearly recognize the importance of these, and our government continues to invest really record amounts in this much-needed core infrastructure. The Ministry of Government Relations alone budgeted more than $101 million in provincial funding for infrastructure projects for 2018-19. To date, under the New Building Canada Fund and the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund, the Ministry of Government Relations has announced 212 projects in Saskatchewan. And these infrastructure investments that I mentioned don't include what's next over the prairie horizon. So in early October, I was part of an announcement with the Minister of Sask Builds and the Government of Canada. And it was announced that the Government of Saskatchewan secured $896 million in federal funding over 10 years for our province under the Investing in Canada plan. So that funding, under a federal-provincial bilateral agreement, will support projects to improve the health and safety of our communities. It's going to support economic growth and sustainability. It's going to protect our environment. And it's going to build a better quality of life. So that's going to be achieved through targeted investments in northern, rural, and remote roads and airports, through municipal and regional infrastructure, through greenhouse gas mitigation, and culture and recreation facilities. With that agreement now in place, our government will be able to shift its focus. It's going to be able to move towards implementing a project intake process to identify the priority investments you're going to have in your municipalities. We hope that process is expected to be in place sometime early in the new year. So in the meantime, I would encourage you to begin considering projects for application. And also analyze how there may be opportunities to partner with your neighbors on them. So thanks to local partners, along with federal and provincial governments all working together, infrastructure projects can go from the drawing board to reality. And that also means that infrastructure funding can go farther to make Saskatchewan communities a better place, and making the most efficient use of public dollars is something that we always need to be aware of as elected leaders and officials. As you know, the provincial budget for the current 2018-19 fiscal year was developed with this really top of mind and the fiscal reality that's facing us all. And that's because our great province has faced a challenging year marked by significant resource revenue decline. But our government charted a 3-year course to reduce Saskatchewan's dependency on resource revenue and to balance the provincial budget. Friends, our government will deliver the 2019-2020 budget, and it will be a balanced budget. And as many of you heard in this fall's throne speech. And that's because Saskatchewan's current 2018-19 budget remains on track, with a deficit of $306 million projected at first quarter. That's actually $59 million less than our original budget projection at $365 million. So in terms of our fiscal plan, there's still a lot of work to do, but we're on course to really return the province to balance. And that's thanks to our government continuing to manage spending carefully while investing in priorities for Saskatchewan people, in your communities, in your municipalities. And that includes our government's commitments to municipalities, just as it's been since taking office more than a decade ago. For example, since 2007, municipal revenue sharing has increased from $127 million to $241 million. That's for the current 2018-19 provincial budget. That's an 89.5% increase. So, as I mentioned at SARM and SUMA conventions earlier this year, the overall municipal revenue sharing program is currently being examined. After all, it really makes sense to look at a program that's been around for its 10th year anniversary. Program reviews are also a standard part of how we do business. The examination of municipal revenue sharing is looking at municipal revenue sharing's base principles and outcomes, engaging with the municipal sector really about key considerations of this program and how the program might more effectively enable and encourage good governance and greater intermunicipal cooperation within the province. Now, as I mentioned at the SARM and SUMA conventions earlier in the year, I indicated that my intention was to recommend to that the Municipal Revenue Sharing Fund for 2019-20 would remain the same as 2018-2019. So that meant $241 million for 2019-20, just like the current provincial fiscal year. Obviously, that's subject to provincial budget finalization. And I suggested that approach for two main reasons. First, I thought it was important to continue to provide municipalities stable and predictable funding levels that can be used for budgeting purposes. And second, it would also give our government time to really complete its examination of the municipal revenue sharing program and to work with our municipal partners to implement any changes that they felt may be needed. So, where are we at with the review of municipal revenue sharing? Well, what I can tell you is that the meetings have been held with both administrative and elected officials from SARM, SUMA, and New North. And frankly, I think we've had some great dialogue on the program review. And as we keep moving forward with that review, we'll keep your association informed as much as we can. And I would like to thank everyone that provided input. Actually, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to advance a series of recommendations for improvements for municipal revenue sharing program in the near future. And while it's too early to say for sure, if the recommendations and the decisions allow, and if it makes sense, we will work to include the improvements in our plans for 2019-20. But if that accelerated schedule does not work out, then I'm still prepared to move ahead with the original plan. And the potential changes to the municipal revenue sharing program would be put into effect in the 2020, 2021, and beyond. I'd also like to talk a little bit about other ways in which we can keep our great province strong. And that strength really comes in part from keeping Saskatchewan competitive for business. And that helps drive our economic growth and ultimately brings benefits right back to you and your community. Prosperity that helps fund our hospital, our schools, our infrastructure, and our quality of life that makes the province the best place on earth. And this is why we've been examining municipal tax tools and effective mill rates. And as it stands today, there's an upper and lower limit on municipal property tax mill rates. Over the last couple of years, my officials have been reviewing how that current system works, along with the fees, charges, and taxes that industry pays. My officials are exploring whether municipalities should instead maybe use a mill rate ratio. This might be a better way to look at tax fairness, as it considers all tax tools such as base and minimum tax in addition to mill rate factors. But the key points to remember is this is exploratory work, and it's about finding the best way to be fair to all our ratepayers, and that neither the current or the potential new mill rate system I mentioned limits a municipality's overall tax revenue. So it's really about keeping our province competitive. It's about keeping our Saskatchewan advantage. And I want to be very clear, no decisions have been made. But I wanted to give you an update, and I want to again thank SARM for the perspective that they've shared on this very important file. In terms of other key files that I want to shift gears here for a minute, as Minister of Government Relations, I want to take this opportunity to underline the importance of following the conflict of interest rules and the public disclosure requirements and the other changes in place since the fall of 2015. As noted by Saskatchewan Ombudsman, it's not wrong or unusual to have a conflict of interest in a matter before Council. It's what you do about it that matters. The Ombudsman has a checklist and a brochure which are available online. It provides information to help determine whether you are in a conflict of interest, and if you are, what to do. My ministry also maintains information on Saskatchewan.ca to explain how to deal with the conflicts of interest. And I encourage you all to take advantage of those online resources, as it's very important to be transparent and accountable to the people that we all serve. And if your council or administration finds itself in the situation of receiving recommendations for change from the Ombudsman, it is of critical importance that you take them seriously. No system is perfect, but having said that, I encourage and expect all municipal councils to act accordingly to whatever measures are needed to respond in an open and transparent way to benefit everyone. Now, for those of you new to local government following the recent rural municipal elections, I can appreciate there may be a lot to take in. You may be feeling a little overwhelmed as a new councillor or as a new administrator for that matter. And that's okay. Others have been in your shoes before and probably have some very sound advice to provide assistance and help to you. So especially if you're dealing with a unique challenge, maybe for the first time. And that's why I strongly encourage you to use the Municipal Peer Network. It's a partnership involving the Ministry of Government Relations, SARM, SUMA, UMass, and RMAA. It created a network of seasoned administrators and elected officials who can provide advice to their peers to help resolve a complex issue or maybe a conflict. And that's whether you're new to local government or you're a veteran public servant. You just need to reach out for some help. It's there if you need it. If you're interested in learning more about the network or who to contact, please reach out to the folks in my ministry's Advisory Services branch. We'll have a few here during the conference. In closing, I want to thank you for the invitation to join you here today. I'll be seeing you all again in this type of setting in the SARM convention in March 2009. By that point, it'll mark just over a year since being sworn in as your Minister of Government Relations. And I think I'm on binder 28 now, so we're just about through most of them. In my time in this job, I've become even more aware of the relationship that we have as elected officials and administrators. And I've come to appreciate even more the role that we all share. Though we are at different levels of government, we do share common goals, such as doing the best for our citizens, practicing responsible governance, and making Saskatchewan communities the best places that they can be. Now, there's always a lot more work to do, and there's always going to be new challenges to face, but if we keep heading in the same direction and remember who we serve, we can continue to make progress, we can continue to make lives better, and we'll continue to keep our Saskatchewan strong. Have a great convention. Thanks again.
Thank you, Minister Kading. Much appreciated that you've taken time out of your schedule today to address our delegates. Well, we're supposed to have a 15-minute break, but I think we're going to cut it short a bit. And so at this time, we can break into our workshop sessions. You can check in your handbook on pages 4 and 5. and you can decide which workshops you attend. So there are 4 of them. The first one is conducting effective meetings, workshop harassment, municipal obligations when conducting municipal works, and Sask Power questions and answers. And please be back here at 1 o'clock to reconvene. Okay.
Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. In an effort to keep us on time, I am going to get us started here, being we're just after 1 o'clock. At this point in time, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our sponsors. Titan Environmental and ACP Applied Products for today's video services. WSP for sponsoring the coffee throughout the convention. TransCanada for sponsoring registration. NAPA and WSP for the Midterm Convention handbooks. And thank you to our other important sponsors, Sask Power, Perlinger Group, Benefits, Success Office System, and Plains Midstream Canada. And I think it's important, if you do business with any of these companies, I know I've mentioned this in the past when I've acknowledged our sponsors, make sure to mention that you heard that they were a sponsor of this convention and thank them for doing so, because without their sponsorship, we certainly wouldn't be able to deliver some of the things that we do at this convention. So by all means, thank you to our sponsors. So as you heard earlier today, my name is Carmen Sterling and I'm the Vice President of SARM. And it's my pleasure to be the MC as we hand out a Saskatchewan Municipal Award to a winning rural municipality. The Saskatchewan Municipal Awards Program is a partnership between SARM, the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, SUMA, the Ministry of Government Relations, the Rural Municipal Administrators Association, the Urban Municipal Administrators Association of Saskatchewan, and the Saskatchewan Association of Northern Communities. I'm going to continue on, but I think they're putting the quiet sign up. I know everybody's getting seated, but this is something we want to make sure that we recognize for our members. So if we could keep the table talk to a minimum, we do have people that are coming in, so there's some noise from that. I would appreciate it. Thank you. So it's great to be presenting for this 12th round of the SMAs. We get to see a video for all 4 winning projects and hand out a trophy to our winning rural municipality. Urban municipalities will receive their awards in February at the SUMA Convention. This is an opportunity to celebrate the innovation and excellence in rural Saskatchewan today, surrounded by our colleagues and peers. This year, the selection committee reviewed 18 nominations on behalf of 35 municipalities. For the 12th Saskatchewan Municipal Awards, the selection committee was made up, and if you're in attendance, please stand as we recognize you. Jim Scarrow, the former mayor of Prince Albert and former vice president of cities for SUMA. Audrey Tremblay, a former president of the Rural Municipal Administrators Association. Keith Schneider, a former executive director of SUMA. Loretta Young, former administrator for the RM of Long Laketon, number 219, and the village of Earl Grey. Jeff Mulligan, former mayor of Lloydminster, and Don Taylor, former SARM board member. And I do believe Don is here for sure. So thank you to those members of the committee. We appreciate the time and effort these 6 individuals took to help us celebrate local governments in Saskatchewan. The selection committee would like to commend all nominees on their projects. All project nominees should be commended for their hard work and dedication to their respective communities. We all know Saskatchewan municipalities are doing excellent work, and we are here today to celebrate those municipalities who are going the extra mile. And in the spirit of cooperation and unity, perhaps we should also be looking at these winning projects as inspiration for projects in our own municipalities. I know RMs are doing much in their communities and with their neighbors, so I strongly encourage all our members to submit projects when nominations open for the 13th round of the SMAs. Now I'd like to recognize the title sponsor for this year's Saskatchewan Municipal Awards, Affinity Credit Union. We are very pleased to have them on board with the Municipal Awards for their 5th year. So please welcome Lee Spencer, the Advice Center Manager for Affinity Credit Union, who is here to bring greetings from our sponsor.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here on behalf of Affinity Credit Union to bring greetings. In the spirit of reconciliation, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're honored to be gathered on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize and celebrate the achievements and accomplishments of our municipalities and local governments throughout the province. Affinity Credit Union is a proud sponsor of this convention. Becoming involved in this event is one of the ways we can show our commitment and support to our members from across the province. As elected officials and municipal employees, each of you share a passion in improving your community. It takes dedication and hard work, but through your efforts, you're improving the lives of those around you. The commitment you provide is truly inspiring, and one of the reasons Affinity is so proud to support this event. At Affinity, building a better world for everyone every day is more than just a tagline. It's ingrained in our organization. As a member-owned and values-based financial institution, we help drive the economic engine of this province by helping our members buy their first home, pay for their education, or start a new small business, all of which helps improve our local economy. As this cycle of members helping members continues, we're building stronger communities and proving that together we achieve more. We love working with like-minded organizations and are proud to have over 50 municipalities throughout the province as our members, all of whom share our common goal of supporting communities. On behalf of Affinity, I would like to offer my sincere congratulations to each of the award nominees because you all deserve recognition for the work you've put in. I'd also like to congratulate the award recipients and the municipalities involved in their achievements. You've done a terrific job leading your team to success, and I know you'll continue down that path. These awards are a true indicator of the strength of Saskatchewan communities. Finally, I want to say thank you to all of our Affinity Credit Union members here today. Our members are the reason we're able to support our Saskatchewan communities and events like these, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. We certainly appreciate Affinity's support for these awards. And so now, on to the winners. So we would ask that you please hold your applause until the video finishes playing. This year's first place winner in the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards is the Mooseman Nutrien Sportsplex in the town of Mooseman. As I mentioned, the urban municipalities will get their trophy at SUMA's convention. This video will give us the full story.
The inspiration was to give some of our groups that we have in our community, whether it be seniors or children, somewhere they can go to continue to be active.
We got a very aggressive recreation director. It was partly brought forward by him and a few other people in the community, and it's for something to do in the winter.
It was a community-wide needs assessment, not just Parks and Rec. The two areas that were identified were programming for not just seniors but adults as well.
Obviously the community is looking for something that everyone can use and not just any one age group.
When we looked at what we were going to do to meet those needs, it was kind of natural that it would be somewhat non-traditional. PCS Mine donated $250,000. Fantastic, but obviously it wasn't enough.
We threw some money in from the town and more fundraisers, and it grew and grew, and it got built.
From the very beginning, this place was full on all events, and everything that Mike seems to host here always has a great response.
A lot of the elderly people in town enjoy it. They do their walking here. It's safe, it's dry.
It's very multi-purpose because of the fact that you have so many different activities that can happen here.
We built it and they came. We have walkers in the mornings. The Regina Health District uses the facility for some of their programs. We have pickleball 3 times a week. We have golf leagues. We have gazillion parties. We have senior bowling leagues. The bowling alley side, we offer a billiards table. 15 sports on the simulators vary from kids games like Zombie Bowl and Midway Carnival, 2 adult games, golf, shooting games. They're the only ones in Western Canada like this. Not just the sportsplex in the winter, but the outdoor eventplex in summer has offered a place where they can stay active and engaged in the community, and that's been, I think, the most beneficial part of this project.
People from outside of our community, when they see it, can't believe a community of this size has a facility like this.
It's a very good facility for the town. It attracts a lot of people from other towns.
We've had calls from other rural centers. We've had calls from cities asking what we all had here and what they could do to build the same things.
The biggest lesson to learn is to have your budgets in place and make sure the budgets are true budgets before you start, so that when you get into construction, you know exactly where you're going to end up money-wise.
It was a tremendous leap of faith for our council, and I appreciate the faith they put in myself and our department to go ahead with the project.
It's been very positive. It gives the people of Mooseman something to be proud of.
The second place winner is the Wellness Center from the City of Melfort. The City of Melfort would like to recognize all regional municipal partners that worked with them to make this happen. Some of you may be in the room, so now let's hear about the Wellness Center.
The idea was conceived almost 10 years ago, and we had recognized and perceived that there were some shortcomings in physician space for medical clinics.
We were looking at a way to enhance patient care as well as look for a recruitment and retention tool for bringing new medical physicians into our community.
I think the inspiration was to have all health housed in one central facility and to have the doctors be on site at the hospital to provide better access for the patients to everything and the physicians to have better access to the facility when they're needed.
Avitex Development Corporation came to us with a proposal, so we took it back to the advocacy committee. They looked at it. There was certainly some challenges with respect to the city because the city was taking a fair risk.
They'd reached out to the physicians and found out that the doctors were interested in having new physician clinics, but that it was important to have something that was integrated with the hospital. And we gave an opportunity for all of those municipalities to become partners in this, as this service would provide medical services for the whole region.
The grand opening was a special day because you realized that after 10 years or more of working at this, it finally became a reality.
We started with 8 physicians. We now have 13 physicians that are practicing in the medical clinic. We have 1 other physician that will be joining them for a total of 14.
The clinic is literally attached to the hospital. And the implication of that is, if you're seeing a patient in your clinic, you can say, oh, I need to do an x-ray for this patient. Just quickly go to the hospital, get it done, and in 2 minutes, the patient is back.
We have an on-site pharmacy, a full-service pharmacy, which is nice for the hospital.
If I'm seeing a patient and I need opinion of a colleague, I'll just walk to him and ask for his opinion.
We see in the future having different health services, possibly ultrasound.
We have the setup in such a way that makes your work easier. So it's been a huge success for our recruitment drive for doctors. And coupled with the fact that a group of physicians that work in this hospital, we're like a solid bunch. We support each other.
It's all accessible, wheelchair, walker. It's one building. You can walk even from the pharmacy to the hospital to the clinic to emerge to lab to x-ray. You don't have to go outside.
The medical services that we supply now are so much more efficient. And it's more efficient for the patient, but it's also efficient for the doctor, and it creates a lot less stress on the doctor and the system itself.
It's become an economic development issue because quality of life has improved in the community, as healthcare is a very important component of that.
This couldn't have been accomplished without the involvement of our 14 municipal partners.
It also has worked to attract other business investment as they see the community as progressive.
From the physician perspective, we love it. Our patients love it. It's been a value added to the quality of care for the patients. So it's been very good.
Having that direct access to the hospital after they've seen their physicians, to get lab work, to get x-rays, to go to emerge if they need to, and to have a pharmacy on site has just made it one stop for all the patients, and they really, really are happy with it.
I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you for everybody's effort. We've been at this process for almost 10 years. Their perseverance and their willingness to continue to provide support and create the avenue to make this happen. And also the municipalities that support this project has been very good. And we're glad that indeed at the end of the day, we made it happen.
And now we move on to third place, the Île-à-la-Crosse Fish Processing and Packaging Facility in the northern village of Île-à-la-Crosse. So let's see their story.
The Michif word for Île-à-la-Crosse is Saktawa, and people say that's where all the waters meet.
I would describe our community as a historical Métis community. Dates back to 1776.
Île-à-la-Crosse is 242 years old. Treaty 10 was signed here in August of 1906. It's also the burial place of Sister Sarah Riel and the birthplace of Louis Riel Sr.
When I arrived in Île-à-la-Crosse, I learned very quickly that it was a vibrant community determined to create jobs at home for its residents so that they could live and work right at home.
For a number of years, the people of Isle La Crosse and the commercial fishers from across the region, including those that are of and from this community, had been dreaming of a way to enhance their incomes.
There was a time when the fishery had really become stagnant because of prices to fishermen and it not being viable for them to continue to operate their businesses.
For far too long, the community in the region has been exporting its prosperity.
The freshwater fish from northern Saskatchewan and from northern Canada is really a premium product.
A lot of people's mindset is, well, we're northern Saskatchewan. We really don't add value to our product. We just ship it out as is.
The old plant was just an agent. What we would do is the fishermen bring in dressed fish. We would pack them up on ice, and then they would be shipped off to Winnipeg unprocessed.
The development corporation that I worked for, Saskatchewan Development Corporation, was instrumental in getting the project started. And they were very widely supported in the community, not only by the village council, who was very involved in the project right from day one, but also by the Big Island Fishermen's Cooperative.
We consulted people in the community, also local people and regional people and industry people as well.
This is not just about building a fish processing plant. This is about building and reinvigorating the commercial fishing industry.
The fishermen actually have an investment in the plant, so they feel part of it. In a year, we've packed and shipped out close to 500,000 kgs of dressed fish, and we have processed close to 10,000 kilograms of fish roe in this facility for the European market.
I mean, we all wanted to work, wanted our fishermen to make more money, which I think it has. I've seen our pay raise from before we started this place.
The local fishers and the regional fishers are getting more money in their pocket, means they're spending more locally.
There's close to 15 full-time workers. We have a few part-time workers that come here and work.
It's sold locally, it's sold regionally, of course provincially because they're Saskatchewan certified.
Our people are entrepreneurs. When you get up in the morning in December, when it's minus 35 or 40 with a wind chill of 55 below, and it's still dark, and you go out into the lake with your snowmobile, with your helpers, and you look around for the hole where your net is on the lake, and you chop through the ice, and you have to keep your snowmobile running because it's still too dark to see in the cold morning. That's courage to me. That's being brave. That's understanding the whole notion of what it is you need to do to feed your family. That's entrepreneurship.
We wanted to see it, put people to work, give us a little more money for fish in our lake, because it's a new fish plant. You see a bit more money coming towards us.
This facility in the future will have a huge impact on the economy, not only of Isle La Crosse, but of the entire west side.
This is a major undertaking for the northern community, and it's a model business for the north.
The plan just means some sort of hope for the region, for the youth as well.
If you have a dream for your community, don't let it die. Focus on it, and no matter how long it takes, stay persistent and you will be successful.
Everything I see here is very positive, and I think we're going to make it. I think it's going to be a big business.
So our final award is the Regional Cooperation Award, which goes to urban and rural municipalities for their work towards a common goal. This year, it is being awarded to the Tourism and Rebranding Campaign by the RM of White Valley and the town of East End. It is now my pleasure to invite representatives from the RM of White Valley up to the stage, and we'll learn about their campaign while they make their way up.
East End is a beautiful small town nestled in the Frenchman River Valley.
We're in the middle of Cypress Hills, for example, to the west, and the Grasslands Park to the east.
It's such an friendly, vibrant, and diverse community.
A very active community. We have lots of volunteers.
The community has worked together to build new facilities that help with entertainment.
We have so many interesting things to show you. We've got the T-Rex. We have a beautiful golf course. We've got a beautiful town park. We have the Historical Museum.
The T-Rex Center is a very special and unique place. We have Scotty, the T-Rex, who's right beside me here, who was found in this area back in 1991.
The councils of East End and RM of White Valley decided to take a new direction with regards to tourism and economic development.
The theme of the rebranding campaign is Discover East End, a sanctuary for all your senses.
The town council and RMs are very open to everything that is taken to them.
The RM, we couldn't ask for anything better as a partner. Anytime we go to do something, they're right there helping us.
When the town needs a bit of a helping hand, whether it be looking for volunteers or whether it be looking for some help and some finances, the municipality has been fortunate enough to be of assistance.
They embrace it and they supported it. And that is so important because that's the secret to every community, is your elected officials and your community groups working together for the betterment of the community.
The brochure is a credit to Rosa and her husband. That was a vision, and it's done very well for our community.
When the guys put it all together and put some texture on the pictures and put it out as a package, it kind of blew me away.
I think the campaign has beautifully captured the imagery that we find here in East End, and it captures your attention.
We started with the brochure, then we developed our website, our Facebook page, Instagram account.
The Royal Sask Museum has seen an increased visitation at the T-Rex Discovery Center. This past summer in 2018, we had an increase of over 1,000 people, so we saw 10,000 people come through our doors between the May long weekend and September long weekend.
If we give you the opportunity to come here and discover a sanctuary for all your senses, you are gonna see our amazing oldest resident, Scotty. But at the same time, you're gonna hear the sounds of nature. You're gonna see the endless skies. You're gonna taste amazing food because we have great restaurants here.
We make a conscious effort to try to drive traffic that's coming up here down into the community to take advantage of all of the restaurants and services that are available.
We do need more tourists, and this is a great opportunity to showcase what we have in East End and area.
Scotty is globally known, has been for a number of years now, and I guess the rebranding has maybe brought new light and new interest.
This year we had visitors from Italy, Belgium, France, Kuwait, Australia.
I think the businesses have all increased in sales. They are thrilled with all the new people that are coming to our community.
To draw people to town is always a good thing. It helps our businesses survive. It also helps things like this facility that we're standing in stay busy and stay important to the rest of the world.
Our biggest asset is our residents, the amazing volunteers that we have.
We have to communicate. We have to tell people what's out there. And something like this today gets that message out, touches a few more people, draws a little more interest.
There's a real ownership of Scotty the T-Rex by residents of East End and area, and they're very proud.
Discover a sanctuary for all your senses. Discover East End, Saskatchewan.
Congratulations, RM of White Valley. So this year, the selection committee has picked one more project to be recognized. An honorable mention goes to the wastewater treatment plant in the town of Unity. The community introduced an innovative and cost-effective system that expands capacity and treats wastewater to a standard exceeding regulatory requirements. So great innovative work by the town of Unity. Congratulations to all the winning municipalities. It's wonderful to see the interesting and innovative things going on around Saskatchewan, and the SMAs are a great way to celebrate these initiatives with municipalities from across the province. I'd also like to say congratulations to everyone who submitted a nomination this year. Keep doing great work. You can visit the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards website at www.municipalawards.ca to learn more about the program and get more details about the winning projects from this year and previous years. I'd also suggest you start preparing your nomination for next year's awards. Thanks everyone for celebrating with us this afternoon. So just a quick announcement, if there's a representative from the RM of Moose Range number 486, could you come and see Shelley at the front table here?
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to do a special recognition of volunteers on behalf of Trans-Canada Trail. On behalf of Trans-Canada Trail, I'd want to extend my heartfelt thanks for allowing me to speak about a project that is dear to me as well, the creation of the Great Trail of Canada. Trans-Canada Trail celebrated the cross-Canada connection of the Great Trail last summer. This bold dream began in 1992 when Dr. Pierre Camus of Ottawa and the late Bill Pratt from Calgary had the visionary idea of connecting local trails across Canada and building new ones to form a network that would link the country from coast to coast to coast. It was a grand idea, a national trail that would showcase and celebrate everything we love about Canada, including our beautiful rural Saskatchewan landscapes. Today, the trail network spans an incredible 24,000 kilometers across this country. The trail links over 15,000 communities in Canada, and 80% of Canadians live just 30 minutes away from a trail section. This trail would have not seen the light of day had it not been for volunteers on the ground. Their dedication, their knowledge, and their determination were and are the backbone of this project. Here in Saskatchewan, we have our own band of trail heroes, and I want to take a moment today to talk about two of them. I began my journey with Trans-Canada Trail 5 years ago when I was invited to sit on what was then known as the Saskatchewan Vision 2017 Trail Committee. It is now the Saskatchewan TCT Advisory Committee. So this committee was tasked with connecting the trail across Saskatchewan, which at the time had the least amount of connected trail in the country. It was at this point that two of my fellow committee members, Sinclair Harrison and Richard Porter, stepped up to the plate and worked relentlessly with all of you to see Saskatchewan soar to being one of the first connected provinces in the country. This was accomplished through many hours of volunteer time, traveled across the province, meeting with reeves and councillors, and attended council meetings, setting up information booths, putting up signs across the province, and organizing other volunteers, not to mention calling in a few personal favors. These two gentlemen were not new to volunteering, and they took on the task like they did all others, wholeheartedly and with a drive to complete something they believed in. So in the spring of 2017, Trans-Canada Trail wanted to see these men honored for all of their dedication and hard work and nominated them both for the Governor General's Caring Canadian Award. It honors Canadians for unpaid voluntary activities who have given extraordinary help and supported community service. These are the caring people who give so much to their fellow citizens, the unsung heroes who volunteer their time. These nominations would prove to be an easy task. Both Sink and Porky were more than deserving of this award, and in the summer of 2017, they were both notified that they would be recipients. At this time, I would like to ask Sinclair Harrison and Richard Porky Porter to please stand. Thank you, and I'd also recognize Sink's wife, Gail, is here. Gail, nice to see you, and Porky's wife, Anne, is here as well. So thank you both for attending with your husbands. We really appreciate the volunteer work and the dedication of these two individuals, not only their work with Trans-Canada Trail, but with many other projects across this province that have impacted all of us in one way or another. Sinclair and Porky, on behalf of Trans-Canada Trail and everyone who has worked alongside each of you on one committee or another over the years, congratulations to you both on being awarded the Governor-General's Caring Canadian Award, and they are most deserving. Thank you both for your service to Saskatchewan. So my parting remarks, it's kind of a plug for the Trans-Canada Trail. It's to please spend some time on the Great Trail, experience it, and the Great Trail invites you to connect in a way that matters. It invites you to connect deeply to the places we call home and the landscape we call Canada. Thank you very much. Okay, the next session is something you need your clickers for. So Jay, I'll ask you to take over.
Everybody out there? Testing, testing. Hello, yeah. So we're on, and everyone have their clickers. It's clicker time. We got JP here from Data on the spot. He's going to come up to the mic and just do a quick clicker test. He'll explain to you how the clickers work, and then we're going to do about a dozen or so questions just to pick the audience's brain. Then we're going to go into the workshops, and we're going to go right into the resolution session where we'll also be using the clickers. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to JP.
All right, hello. So we'll do the first question. That'll act as our test too, to make sure that everyone's device is working. If you haven't used a clicker before, the question's going to come up on the screen. You're going to press the letter that corresponds to the answer you'd like to choose. You can press the button as many times as you like. It will only record one vote, although there are a few questions that we're going to ask that are select all that apply. So in that case, you'll be able to choose the clickers programmed on that particular question to take more than one input. So if the folks can put me up on the screen, this is our first question. Has your RM utilized SARM's legal services in the last 3 years? If the answer is yes, you press 1. If the answer is no, you press 2. So you should get a green light. If you're a little bit further away from me, it may strobe amber, but then you should get a green light at the end. And if you don't, you can just click again. There's some folks in the room with some spare clickers. If you suspect that your device isn't working, now's the time to put up your hand and we can get you sorted. Okay, I think we're good. So we're going to run a 15-second countdown timer for each of the questions. So I'll just sit down and we'll start the timer. Thanks.
So I'll repeat the question. Has your RM utilized SARM's legal services in the last 3 years? 1 is yes, 2 is no. JP's going to put the timer on. And we have some results. 85% said yes, 15% said no. We'll go on to the next question. If you could choose one SARM calendar that is most useful, which would it be? 1, the desktop calendar, 2, the wall calendar, 3, the pocket calendar, and 4, the online calendar. So if you could choose one calendar, what would be most useful to you out of the 4? Results show pretty tight. We got the desktop and the pocket calendar at 29%, 27 the wall calendar, and 4 online is 15%. Thank you. Do you use the SARM website? 1 as in yes, 2 as in no. %68 do use the website. Next question. So here's a multiple of answers. So select all that apply. So you can have more than one answer here. So select the numbers that do apply. What is your main reason to visit the SARM website? 1, staff contacts. 2, program information, whether that's AG or MREP. 3, forms. 4, resolutions. 5, policy information. 6, convention event information. 7, rural counselors. 8, member directory, and 9, workshop notes. So if you use all of them, push all 9 buttons. Very good. And the results are, I'm thinking what do we got there? Number 6, convention and event, followed by number 2, program information. Okay, next. What courses has SARM partnered with Southeast College and Saskatchewan Municipal Hale to offer learning opportunities? Same thing, select all that apply. So what courses have we partnered with Southeast College and Municipal Hale? The options are number 1, workplace bullying, 2, conflict management, 3, leadership skills, 4, communicating effectively, and number 5, all of the above. All of the above. You guys know about it. That's great. Next step, or next question. How many people registered for at least one course within the Municipal Management Essentials program in 17-18? So how many, one of these 4 is the correct number, but how many registrants do you think we've had in this program in 2017-2018? The correct answer is number 4, 518. We had a good attendance this year. We'll go to the next question. How many media inquiries has SARM's president, Ray Orb, handled in 2018? Number 1, is it over 100? 2, 50 to 75? 3, 22? Or 4, under 20? How many media inquiries has our president been a part of in 2018 to this point? %63% were correct, over 100. Ray's been busy. What is the main reason you attend the midterm convention? Workshops, resolutions, pre-convention training, or networking? Yeah. 41% networking, 32 resolutions, 21 workshops, and pre-convention training lagged at 6%. Next question, what is the biggest obstacle as an RM? So what is one of your guys' biggest obstacles out there? Is it 1, infrastructure funding? Is it 2, lack of resources? Is it 3, turnover in administration? Or is it 4, other? How many more do we have? 62% infrastructure funding, followed by others. So if you're willing to share the others with us, please do. We got staff all over the convention hall, or email or phone us at the office. What year was SARM's first midterm convention? Number 1, 1979, 2, 1989, 3, 1984, and 4, 1990. When was SARM's first midterm convention? The correct answer is 1989. 18%. I think we have a few more. We often get this question. Should resolutions only be submitted at annual convention rather than both annual and midterm convention? Number 1 is yes, number 2 is no, and number 3 is possibly or maybe. 2, no, 75%. Well, we heard you there, and we know that most of you are here for the resolution session, so that will be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I think that concludes the Your Voice, Your Vote. Thank you. I'm glad all your clickers are operational, and we will be using them to the max of our ability at 3 o'clock with the resolution session.
Okay, just as Okay, if I can have your attention, I'm going to introduce plant health officers, if you just want to come up. I was going to. I can't. I just want to, if I can have your attention, everyone. I just want to introduce some young ladies, and if I can have your attention for 1 minute. I want to explain this about SARM's plant health officers. If I can have your attention, please. I want everybody to be able to hear this. So in 2018-19, SARM is administering a new plant health network program aimed to provide the human capacity component to support RMs and First Nations dealing with a variety of agriculture crop pest issues throughout the province. And this program is fully funded through the Canadian Agriculture Partnership, and each SARM division employs a full-time plant health officer. PHOs will focus on educating RMs and First Nation bands on how best to undertake their powers and responsibilities in accordance with Saskatchewan legislation respecting pest control and weed control. Provide education, training, and support to appointed pest control officers and weed inspectors. And under the guidance of the Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture, SMA survey and report on agriculture crop pests and prohibited and noxious weed occurrences. So I'd like to introduce them. Not sure if the right order, but Katie Mahoniak, Plant Officer, SARM Division 1. Mahoniak, is that right? Mahoniak, okay, well, that's close. Joanne Koznicki, Division 2. That's actually my division, and I met her. She came to our council meeting. That was awesome. Betty Johnson, Plant Health Officer, Division 3. Lynn Roselle, Division 4. Okay. Chelsea Baranicki, Division 5. And Connie Fennig, Division 6. So give them a round of applause, please. And if you'd like to speak to one of them, please stop by and see them in the lower level of the West Room. I believe you'll be there rest of today and tomorrow? Oh, you're in a different room. So we'll let you know what room they're going to be in tomorrow. But also mention that Barb Zeisman, she is a plant health specialist with the Ministry of Ag, will also be here. And so you can stop and talk to them all tomorrow. So thanks for coming up. Thank you. Okay, right into our resolution session. So we just have a few rules that I wanted to go through. What are we going to do? We're going to read the number and the title, the resolution by a board member, and the operative clause of each resolution will be read. And then a mover, just be clear, a mover is requested for the resolution, just like always, and the mover will be given the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes maximum, and other delegates will be given the privilege of speaking for 2 minutes to speak on the resolution. And at this point, I'd like a mover to appoint Mike Morris and Andrew Swenson as our parliamentarians for the resolution sessions. So I could have a mover for that? 247, moved, all in favor? Do you want to do a clicker? Let's do a clicker, to use the clickers, so we can vote 1 in favor or 2 opposed. You can vote now. Okay, the results are 94% in favor. That is carried. Okay, resolution number 1. Readers, please.
Energy Infrastructure 1-18M SARM Board of Directors. Be it resolved that SARM support energy infrastructure projects that have a positive effect on rural communities and the economy.
Okay, mover for that.
I'm here. I don't know if this is on. Judy Harwood, Division 5.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'd like to move this resolution.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
You bet.
Okay, go ahead.
The membership has provided a resolution in the past related to supporting the Trans-Canada Pipeline. SARM wants to continue to support energy infrastructure that will have a positive impact on our communities. We define energy infrastructure to include power, hydro, wind, solar, road servicing well sites and mines, as well as pipelines. We understand that pipelines relieve the growing pressure on municipal infrastructure. We also understand that transporting oil by pipeline frees up space on rail for other commodities such as grain. Pipelines are also a more environmentally favorable alternative to ground and rail transportation, as they create substantially fewer emissions during transport, as well as reduce the risk associated with moving dangerous goods via ground transport or rail. On behalf of the SARM Board of Directors, we respectfully request you vote in favor of SARM supporting energy infrastructure projects that have a positive effect on rural communities and the economy. Thank you.
Okay, any other people that would like to get to the microphone to debate this? No one? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the question. You can use your clickers. Vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed. Okay, that's carried 98.2%. Resolution number 2.
Not working. Rat Control Program, RM Corman Park, number 344. Be it resolved that SARM continue to support the Pest Biosecurity Program, however, not to the detriment of the Rat Control Program, CAP, RCP, or other programming.
Do we have a mover? Mike 2.
Adam Tittlemore, Administrator for the Arm of Corman Park, and I've been asked to council to move this and speak to it.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
So we are extremely supportive of the Pest Biosecurity Program and recognize the importance of working towards solutions and managing club root. However, we are concerned that that will be at the detriment of the existing rat control program. So what we are asking for support here today is that we support the rat control program, however, not to the detriment of any other program. So we would like to see funding go towards adequately managing both of those issues, and we ask for your support. Thank you.
Any other discussing issues on this one? Anybody else want to discuss this? Okay, doesn't appear so. I will call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
Of others with a future so cold, a life ain't worth living when it's out of control.
That resolution is carried 97%. Okay, resolution number 3.
Funding for Club Route Initiatives, Division 3, Division 5. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to require club route initiatives to be funded from the canola checkoff through Saskatchewan Canola and restore funding to the previous ag programs as in 2017.
Okay, do I have a mover? Like to move that? Anyone? If we don't have a mover, we won't be able to debate. Okay, I'll ask one more time. Is there a mover for that resolution? Pardon me? 315? 215. Okay. Would you like to speak to it? Okay. Okay, I will call for the question. Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone that wants to debate this or not. Doesn't appear so. Okay, I will call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed. Okay, that's carried, 85.1%. Resolution number 4.
Resolution 4-18M, support for the Provincial Rat Eradication Program, PREP. Sponsored by the Arm of Coalfields number 4, Arm of Mariposa number 350, Arm of Rosedale number 283, Arm of Britannia number 502, Arm of Wood River number 74, Arm of Kendersley number 290, Arm of Porcupine number 395, Arm of Cana number 214, Arm of Nipawin number 487, Arm of Stanley number 215, Arm of Great Bend number 405. Be it resolved that the Ministry of Agriculture return the Provincial Rat Eradication Program back to its original status and funding to ensure that the program continues to produce positive results.
Do we have a mover for that resolution? Microphone number 2.
Hey?
Would you like to move it, sir?
Oh, no, I'm just visiting.
Okay, that's fine. You can visit. I'm kind of like the same. Okay, anyone else? We need a mover for that resolution if you want to debate. RM 74, would you like to speak to it? Okay, anyone else like to speak to it? Okay, I will call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
Looking back on the memory of the
Okay, that resolution is carried 97.1%. I will ask for resolution number 5.
Resolution 518M, need for increased pest control funding, sponsored by the RM of Silverwood, number 123, RM of Alpoa, number 554, RM of Martin, 122, RM of Kinsley, 124, and RM of Walken, number 193. Be it resolved that SARM lobbied the provincial government for additional funding for pest control so that funding for the pest control officer preventative farm visits can be reinstated.
Mover, Mike 3.
337.
Okay, would you like to speak?
Yes, I'd like to say, you know, we've got a worse problem with rats now when we have these grain bags than we've ever had before. And it takes a lot of checking to find all these bags and make sure that there's no rats around there. So it's not only a problem that we've had, it's a growing problem.
Anyone else? Doesn't appear like I got a gentleman over there on mic 4. Is that mic 4? Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Raybeck, RM 98.
Okay.
I was the chairman of the prep board, and the bottom line on that one, it says preventative farm visits can be reinstated. They never were stopped. I mean, we're still all doing the farm calls. It's just the funding's been cut severely, and we're lobbying all levels to try to get that funding back because we believe it's an important thing. But as far as that resolution number 5 states that funding for pest control officer preventative farm visits can be reinstated, I don't know of any RMs who have cut that program out. So, and this year we still have funding in place, do we not? We lost $500,000 this year from the government. So I vote in favor of this because we really need this program, but the visits are still going on.
Anyone else? Mike, are you up at a microphone? Okay, I will call for the question then. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
A rat came out of his hiding place. He got that whiskey stand. He ran right up in, he got a little shot, and back to his holy wind. Back to his holy wind. Right back to his holy.
That's an old one, eh? That's an old song. That one is carried in spite of the music. 96.2%. That is carried. And now resolution number 6.
Resolution 6-18M, RM of Stanley, number 215. Be it resolved that SARM lobbied the Provincial Ministry of Agriculture to include feral horses as a non-domestic species under the Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation Wildlife Damage Compensation Program.
Okay, a mover. Looks like Mike 3. Go ahead.
215.
Number? RM number, sir?
215.
225. Okay, would you like to speak to it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I'm Ken Petlock, Reeve for the RM of Stanley. I'll give you a bit of history on the feral horses. The ratepayers in the RM of Stanley for the past 20 years have been trying to control the feral horses from damaging hay crops and grain crops. We were using the Stray Animal Act to try to get them under control. We had caught several, sold. Some had to been put down because of traffic accidents with them. So these horses, they were once a domestic herd of about 8 to 10 horses at the start. The person that owned it off the reserve west of our RM no longer takes ownership of them. We had notified all 4 reserves west of our boundary, and we're told to deal with the horses as we see fit. So the ratepayers have been losing thousands of dollars every year over these horses. They continue to rip up the grain bags. Any old wooden bins that are used yet are pawed open. They also destroy a lot of hay land, hay bales. The herd now are 30 as of the count in July this year. So we ask that you support this resolution to have Saskatchewan Crop Insurance pay for damages caused by these feral horses now.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried 70.6%. Resolution number 7.
Resolution 7-18M, Coyote Control. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to reinstate the Coyote Control program.
Okay, a mover for that. Do we have a mover for that one? Okay, we need a mover, otherwise we can't debate it. 93? 50? 63 or 53? 63, okay, sounds good. Do you want to speak to it? Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'll call for the question. You can vote 1 in favor or 2 opposed. Okay, that resolution is carried 74.2%. Resolution number 8.
Resolution 8-18M, Underground Pipelines, RM of Mervyn, number 499. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to ensure that appropriate legislation is in place requiring oil utility industrials companies that are installing underground pipelines lines to be required to properly record the locations of their lines, which would include a map plan as well as having a tracer wire installed to ensure line locating accuracy. Be it further resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to also make it mandatory that all underground pipelines that are constructed in Saskatchewan be required to be registered with Sask First Call to ensure municipalities and road construction companies are aware of facilities crossing municipal road allowances as well as earthworks conducted on private properties. Be it further resolved that the provincial government establish appropriate penalties to be charged to companies which do not register their underground lines with Sask First Call.
Okay, a mover, please. Is there a mover for that resolution? Mike, number 1.
Brown, 499.
Okay.
Yeah, this program arose when Husky Energy took over a field from Ish Energy, which I believe is in other parts of the province. They hit a line which wasn't marked. It appears not all companies are registered with First Call either. So that's one problem. I contacted Linda Benjamin, who's the executive director of the Service Rights Board, and she indicated there was no general registry and that the Pipeline Act has not been changed since 1968. She referred me to a Washington Celis, who's in charge of flow lines, and apparently this is he also indicated there's no general registry at present. Plans are to amend the act in 2019, which would require all flow lines to be registered, whether they're salt, water, gas, or oil. But there's no obligation, another issue too, aside from this, there's no obligation for the company to remove a pipeline at present. But I'm sure a lot of RMs in this room can identify with this issue, and I urge you to support this resolution.
Anyone else? No? Okay, I'll call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
I'm an old pipeliner, lay my line all day. I'm an old pipeliner, lay my line all day. Got 4 or 5 women waiting to draw my pay.
That's carried 95.7%. Resolution number 9, please.
9-18M, oil and gas well sites flare stacks, RM of Tecumseh, number 65. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to introduce enhanced regulations to operate flare stacks or to eliminate flare stacks altogether.
Okay, mover, Mike 4.
RM 65.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I
Go
would.
ahead.
I'd like to just add a little bit to that resolution. In RM 65, we've had 5 substantial fires in the last 10 years due to flare stacks. And that's resulting in extra strain and time placed on our volunteer fire department and landowners in the area. The last fire resulted in excess of $30,000 in firefighting costs alone. We are concerned for the safety and well-being of our ratepayers, their property, and livestock. If the oil field equipment is not maintained or operated properly, the system will push extra burning oil, gas, and particulates past the safety zone required by legislation. In our location, you cannot look in any direction without seeing at least one flare stack, shooting burning gas sometimes 30 feet into the air. Perhaps the oil companies should partner with Sask Energy and follow Sask Power's lead by harnessing that energy and putting it into the grid. This energy that is being wasted at the present time would go a long ways to heat a lot of homes or facilities in our area, plus reduce waste being pushed into our environment. We ask your support for this resolution.
Anyone else? Again, Mike 4, go ahead.
Yeah, Gordon at Martin 122. One of the scientific study I picked up was that a lot of the gases that are flared up do not burn. You don't see them, and they can settle into low areas around flares and cause damage to livestock. They also have a potential to cause damage to human health. So I would urge you to support this resolution.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried 84.3%. Resolution number 10.
Tarping and sealed contaminated waste containers, RM Tecumseh, 65. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to make tarping and sealing of vessels containing contaminated waste mandatory while in transport to and from waste disposal facilities to reduce the risk for further environmental contamination.
Okay, do we have a mover for that resolution?
RM of Tecumseh. Number 65.
Tecumseh, would you like to speak to it?
No, I think it's self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No, doesn't appear so. I will call for the question again. All in favor, vote 1 or 2 opposed. Okay, that resolution is also carried, 92.8%. Resolution number 11.
Pipeline installation depth through road allowances. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to have the depths of pipeline or any other underground facility installations be changed to a more suitable depth.
Okay, do I have a mover? Mike 1? Would you like to move it?
Yes, I move it, please. RM 382.
Okay, and would you like to speak to it?
Pretty much self-explanatory, sir.
Okay, I'll ask if there's anyone else that would like to speak to it. Okay, doesn't appear so. I will call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
All the people say just another guy on the lost highway. Just
That resolution is carried, 90.8%. Okay, resolution number 12.
Municipal appeal mechanism pipeline and other underground facilities, 1218M. I Hill 382, Eldon 471, Harts Hill 352, Senlac 411, Oakdale 320, Grass Lake 381, Round Valley 410, Prairiedale 321, Winslow 319, Milton 292, Antelope Park 322, Payton 470. Did I forget anybody?
Nope.
Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to put in place an appeal mechanism for any party involved to appeal to a separate and impartial agency.
Okay, mover Mike 1.
RM 382.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
Again, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I will call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
underneath our feet, the subways rolling underground, underground. Are you going away with your bird on there?
That resolution is carried, 89.4%. So we'll look at resolution number 13.
Resolution 1318M, Resource Company Tax Enforcement, arm of Lacadena 228, Snipe Lake 259, Mary Creek 229, Riversdale number 168. Be it resolved that SARM lobbied the provincial government to implement tracking of sales information of oil and gas so that Section 317 of the Municipal Act can be utilized.
Okay, mover. Microphone number 3.
259.
Okay, would you like to speak to it, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We all know that Section 217 of the Municipality Act gives us the right to serve notice on oil and gas owners and operators that are behind in their taxes to let the municipalities collect this money through the sale. In practice, the system is not working. Recently, a municipality sent a letter to the Ministry of Energy and Resources, asked the name of gas purchasers from the producer who is in arrears. It replied the municipality was informed that since March of 2012, Saskatchewan uses something called PCP pricing, that is a provincial average of gas prices at the field gate expressed in gigajoules and rounded to the nearest cent as set by the ministry each month. As such, the letter states individual purchaser information for the sale of gas is not gathered or maintained by the ministry. Therefore, the ministry is unable to provide purchaser information. It has also proven impossible to obtain a list of gas and oil
from the purchasers. The municipalities are in a catch-22 situation. We cannot get the information from the government on who is buying the gas. They don't seem to know who buys it. I guess they don't know what the royalties are either at that time. We are not asking for a change in rules or anything here. What we're asking is to get the tools available so that we can do the job that we've got permission to do. I strongly urge you to support this.
Anyone else? Okay, doesn't appear so. I'll call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 if you're opposed.
For years I've been busting my rear to make a living, but it ain't made. For years I've been trying.
Okay, that resolution is carried 94.6%. Resolution number 14.
Resolution 1418M, oil companies' failure to pay arrears of land taxes while continuing to operate, sponsored by the Arm of Benson, number 35. Be it resolved that SARM lobbied the provincial government to make changes so that an oil company with a ratio of less than 1 cannot just pay the security deposit to the Oil and Gas Orphan Fund to continue to operate and not pay municipalities for arrears of land taxes. Be it further resolved that oil companies also have to pay their surface lease rentals to landowners.
Okay, do we have a mover? 35? Okay, would you like to speak to it? Self-explanatory. Anyone else? Okay, I think we can, I'll call for the question. Vote now, 1 in favor or 2 if you're opposed.
Baby, step back, either step up or step back. Now you know I don't brag no.
Okay, that resolution is carried 95.3%. So we're resolution number 15.
Resolution 1518M delays in municipal road projects, sponsored by the Arm of Bone Creek, number 108. Be it resolved that SARM lobby both the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change Canada to limit the administrative and financial burdens placed on road construction projects, allowing a simpler process to begin to replace aging infrastructure.
Okay, a mover, Mike 2, would you like to move it?
Yes, please. RM 108.
Would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I do, please.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're in southwest Saskatchewan. We're rebuilding roads now at our own cost. As stewards of the land in which we live, we respect the need for environmental monitoring of infrastructure projects, and we are also committed to protecting species at risk. The environmental and climate change restrictions now being applied to our projects are extensive. They sometimes feel unrealistic and have resulted in a profound increase in the cost and effort and loss of opportunity to our municipality. It's difficult to understand why there are ever-increasing restrictions, especially on the projects that include roads where roads and traffic already exist. It took months to get permits for this year's project, which was a 4-mile rebuild of our high-traffic Clearing the Path road. The build started in August and the final inspection was completed November the 8th. Because of the delays we experienced, our builder had to cancel several other projects he had committed to this year, and this was not the first year that this has happened. This year, Environment wanted a ministry person on site each time a culvert was replaced. We managed to get them to approve having the road builder replace all the culverts at one time, so there could be one inspection instead of potentially having them there every day. That saved us some time and some money. But road building did have to stop while small fish were literally moved from one small pond to another. Environmental people knew that both ponds were going to dry up in a matter of days, but they insisted it had to be done. That's beside the point, was their comment. Really, we think that's exactly the point. We ask that you vote in favor of this resolution in an effort to keep road projects viable and financially possible. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, it doesn't appear so. So I will call for the question. You can vote now. Vote 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried, 98%. The next resolution is resolution number 16.
Resolution number 1618M, Rural Municipal Election Cycle, sponsored by the RM of Lipton, number 217. Be it resolved that SARM request the Minister of Government Relations to amend the Local Government Elections Act 2015 to have rural municipal elections synchronized with the urban elections, and that general elections for rural municipalities be held for the entire council and reeve on a 4-year cycle and not by odd and even divisions.
Okay, a mover, Mike 2.
Mover RM of Lipton, 217.
Okay. Could I have some quiet in the hall, please? I'd like to allow the mover to speak to the resolution.
Okay, hi, Corey Sempt, Reeve of the RM of Lipton. We brought this resolution in because, of course, many of you know our voter turnouts are poor, and we feel that if a voting day was scheduled on the calendar for both urban and rural, that it might create more of an interest for people to vote. And I think what is really interesting, if you go to Municipal Election Schedule on Canada website, and you can pull all sorts of interesting information off of here, like take it for instance, British Columbia, I'll compare because they have the best. 4.6 million people, 189 local governments, 1 election every 4 years, total acclaimed 8%. Saskatchewan, 1.1 million, 800 local governments are close to it, total percentage of acclaimed 54%. We're the highest in Canada with elected officials that are acclaimed at 54%, and we're the only, besides the Northwest Territories, that don't have an election date every 4 years with the urban, except in some communities, like stated in the resolution, resort villages are done in summertime, which makes sense also. Otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Mike number 1, would you like to speak to?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Arlen Kurtz, Arm of Fertile Belt. Why would we want to take the risk of having a complete council change in one election? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a system that works well. If you aren't getting voter turnout, the candidates running aren't doing their job to get out and get the people to turn out and vote. If they're not turning out, there's no issues, I guess. So I would ask you to defeat this resolution.
Mike number 3, go ahead.
Linda Helgeson, Division 5, RM of McKillop. From our council table, we made the decision not to support this resolution because having the elections the way they are now works well. Part of the reason is that it works well for continuity when you are continually cycling, having experience on the council and introducing new people to the council on a regular cycle. There is continuity and there is the ability to mentor and put forward information so that you have consistency on your council. We are not in support of this and would recommend not supporting.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else come to the mic, so I will call for the question. I will ask everyone to vote now. If you're in favor, vote 1, and if you're opposed, vote 2. That resolution is defeated, 96.1%. Resolution number 17.
Resolution number 17-18M, amounts owing for work or services by municipality, RM of QPR number 218. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the government to amend section 405(3) of the Municipalities Act to state, within 12 months of which work or services mentioned in subsection 1 were performed, the municipality may A, add to any arrears of taxes on land owned by a person in the municipality any amount with respect to such work or services performed for that person that remains unpaid.
Okay, mover. 247. Do you wish to speak to it? Okay, anyone else wish to speak to this resolution? Okay, it doesn't appear so. I will call for the question. You can vote 1 if you're in favor or 2 if you're opposed. That resolution is carried 85.9%. Resolution number 18.
Resolution 18-18M, disqualification from council, RM of McKillop, number 220. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to amend the Local Government Elections Act 2015 to include the requirement that no person is eligible to be nominated, elected, or to hold office as a member of a council by reason of being involved in any legal proceedings relating to any of the disqualification matters identified in Section 147 of the Municipalities Act.
Microphone 3, would you like to move that?
So moved. 220.
Okay, if you wish to speak, go ahead.
Yes, Linda Helgeson, Division 5. I speak with permission from and direction of the council. This resolution was brought into being because of experience in not good situations of having councillors involved in legal proceedings, and it is a difficulty to work at a table where there is litigation involving some councillors. This resolution was brought forward in the spring and just about passed. I'm hoping, and I would ask that you would pass it at this convention. If you are an RM that is not in any legal proceedings, I congratulate you and hooray for you. If you happen to be in the situation we are, it is a huge difficulty to have councillors in legal proceedings against the council table. Please, I ask you, support this resolution. Thank you.
Microphone number 4, go ahead.
McKnight, RM 520. I'm not sure I get this. So if somebody on council disagrees with something, they can't sit on council anymore. It's difficult working at a table where somebody doesn't agree with you. If everybody agreed with you, you'd be the only one that needed to go to the meeting. I don't get this. I need a way more clarification before I'd ever support this. Just because I support somebody taking legal action doesn't mean that I can't sit on council. Maybe it means I should be the one on council.
Okay, mic number 4, again, go ahead, sir.
Blair Cummins, arm of Blucher 343. A cornerstone of our judicial system is that you are innocent until proven guilty. So just because you're involved in a legal proceeding does not mean you should be disqualified. If you're convicted, fine, another ball of wax. But just because you're charged, you should still be eligible to run.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
I smoked my first cigarette out behind the barn, and that's one day I won't forget, out behind the barn. I got sick, you should have seen how that tobacco turned me green.
That resolution is lost, 71.2% opposed. Resolution number 19, please.
Written background information to accompany request to sign a petition, McKillop 220. Be it resolved that the provincial government make changes to section 140.11 of the Municipalities Act, such that a petition for financial or management audit starts a series of events to ensure that all voters in the municipality are provided all the necessary information on the rationale and costs of conducting the audits. Be it further resolved that all voters are provided an equal opportunity to participate in a democratic process on whether the audits are necessary, similar to what is provided in section 1321, petition for referendum of the Municipalities Act.
Microphone number 1, would you like to move that?
I so moved. Howard Arn from the RM of McKillop, number 220.
Okay, if you'd like to speak, go ahead.
Absolutely. This section of the Act was put in place not that many years ago, and a lot of it is a result of what happened to the RM of Sherwood. However, there are significant flaws, at least in our opinion, in this particular part, because it doesn't define, or people putting the petition together don't have to define what they're asking for, other than saying we need a management audit or we want to see a financial audit. So what it can get down to is a fishing trip. Also, the big part of this, or one of the biggest parts of this, is that it forces council to spend money not voted on by an elected official or by the ratepayers of the municipality. I acknowledge that a petition is an indication that there's a group of people, but it certainly isn't the majority of people that may want to see this. Also, not every ratepayer gets a chance to see it, or say, yeah, we agree in spending who knows how much money without due process. And that's all this is asking for, is that a due process system is put in place. It's not that we're against these audits, it's just that there needs to be due process so that all ratepayers understand what is being asked of council and what the associated costs may be.
Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone else coming to the mic, so I will call for the vote. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 if you're opposed. That resolution is carried, 55%. So we'll go on to resolution number 20.
Lakeshore Development and Management Strategies, McKillop 220. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to work with these rural municipalities to design and implement development strategies on a regional basis for each lake.
Okay, mover for that resolution. Mic number 1.
Hi, RM of McKillop, number 220 again. Yes, we are one of the RMs that are along Last Mountain Lake, but there are a number of situations where there are multiple RMs along many of our lakes and resort areas. And what we are struggling with is no consistency in what is being allowed for development, not saying we're against development, but what is being allowed for development, what the impact, the environmental impact is on the lakes. And I think that it is up to the province to take a leadership role on looking at proper governance and resource management around the lakes and rivers that are affected to ensure that they're not overdeveloped and that things are put in place, or the necessary things are put in place to protect that environment for wildlife and such. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Mike 4?
McKnight, RM 520. Are you just talking about where it's provincial parks, where there's lakes, where provincial parks, or just a lake bordering a municipality that's not a provincial park?
Yeah, the provincial parks are out of our jurisdiction.
Right.
This is
Okay.
developments along the lake. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll call for the question. You can vote 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried 67.4%. Resolution number 21.
Railway right-of-way environmental and safety transformation, Maple Creek 111. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure, and Transport Canada to develop a safety policy to address the fire hazard, environmental cleanup, and control of invasive plant species along railways. Be it further resolved that the railways be responsible for cleanup of their right-of-ways and for costs incurred by municipalities for firefighting, weed control on and originating from said right-of-ways.
Okay, mover Mike 2?
Yeah. Mover RM 111.
Okay, if you'd like to speak, go ahead.
Sean Kramer, Councillor for the RM. The CPR and CN provide a vital economic service to our province and all of Canada. We are requesting your support to encourage railways to operate at a higher standard than what their current practices are. The RM of Maple Creek has approximately 35 miles of CPR mainline track. Like many RMs, we have issues along the CPR right-of-ways with invasive species, environmental cleanup, and safety concerns, including fire. The landowners of Saskatchewan are well respected as conscientious stewards of the land. Our ratepayers in the RM have to deal with invasive species including baby's breath, absinthe, leafy spurge, which are all costly and hard to control. Other environmental concerns are old creosote ties, posts, railway spikes, fencing wire, and aerosol cans have been left for years along the CPR right-of-ways. Impassable right-of-ways during firefighting are extreme safety concern. Not only would debris-free maintained fire guards help prevent fire, they would also provide safer access routes during emergencies. The RM has met with various levels of the CPR over the past 2 years in an attempt to resolve these issues with no success. We are requesting your support on this motion to have SARM and the province lobby the railways with a stronger voice to address these concerns and develop a long-term solution. Thank you.
Okay, the next person also had Mike 2. Go ahead, sir.
155 Krauser. On May 3rd of this year, we had a major grass stubble fire start along the CPR right-of-way. There were 2 eyewitness accounts where it was started. The fire department call-out indicated that it had started on the CPR right-of-way, and also with the burn patterns after the investigation revealed that the point of origin was on the railway track. The fire burned close to 500 acres, and 1 local farmer lost his 4-wheel drive tractor in the fight. The fire department call-out charges were sent to CP Rail. They denied claim as they had indicated that there was no rail traffic or work crews in the area. Funny thing was, a work crew called in the 911 call. Because the railway denied claim, the adjoining landowner ended up with the call-out charges. The cost was over $5,000. Yes, the landowner had insurance, but he was still out of his $1,000 deductible. In order to claim that $1,000 deductible, legal counsel was sought and was going to cost more to fight it than to pay the $1,000. So therefore, I strongly urge that we support this resolution. Hopefully, we can make railways and maybe some of the power companies more accountable. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak to this resolution? Okay, doesn't appear so, so I will call for the question. You can vote now. Vote 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
I'm sitting in the railway station, got a ticket for my destination.
That is carried 99.4%. Okay. Resolution number 22.
Resolution 2218M, Emrit Rating Factors, sponsored by the Arm of Capo, number 154. Be it resolved that First Nations be added as a rating factor in the program guidelines for the heavy haul volume roads component of Municipal Roads for the Economy program, Emrit.
Okay, Mike, number 4, would you like to move this?
Yes, El Capo 154.
Okay, go ahead if you'd like to speak.
As stated in the resolution, there's a number of factors that are taken into account for the MRAP evaluations, but First Nations are not. And so we're proposing in the resolution to add First Nations as a criteria in evaluating MRAP applications and looking at the economic impact of First Nations communities on our local communities as far as retail, service industries, trade, labor, and also when it looks like when you look at health and education and recreation. So there's a number of factors that are a real benefit to local communities from this. We urge your support for this resolution.
Anyone else? Okay, don't see anyone. I'll call for the question. You can vote now. 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
I found out since we've been dating, in my heart you're really rating. The wilder your heart beats, the sweeter you love. Since
That's carried 80.6%. Okay, resolution number 23.
Resolution 2318M, authorize the posting of grid road signs, sponsored by the Arm of Browning, number 34. Be it resolved that the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure authorize the posting of municipal grid road signs on top of stop and yield signs posts in the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure right-of-ways.
Okay, Mike number 1, would you like to move it?
Yes, I'll move it.
Okay.
Hi, it's Slostel, RM34.
Okay, would you like to speak to it as well?
Yeah, we were told by the district manager for the Department of Highways that we weren't allowed to put the signs up there. We do have them on a whole bunch of posts, but they're not happy about it. They haven't told us to take anything down yet, but it makes more sense to have them up there. Maybe people notice a stop sign or a yield sign before they drive through it while they're looking for a grid road sign. Makes it a lot easier to navigate. When you're sending a trucker to your place, you just tell them the grid road numbers and they know exactly how to get there. So please support this motion.
Anyone else? Joe, you're not getting to the microphone? Anyone else? Yeah, there is Mike number 4.
McKnight 520. I'm not sure I understand this. You want to put grid road signs on top of highway stop signs? I've never seen a highway stop sign on a highway when you're going past a grid road. And if you think putting up another post with a sign on it is distracting, just try putting all these signs on top of stop signs and see how distracting that is. And then we want to put our snowmobile club signs on top of your sign and stop at the stop sign.
Anyone else? Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak to this resolution? Okay, it doesn't appear so, so I will call for the question again. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
Today, pain became a real life hurting thing, and a choir of loneliness sang.
That resolution is lost, 52.5%. Resolution number 24.
Resolution 2418M, ditch mowing, sponsored by the Honourable Laureate number 38. Be it resolved that SARM approach the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure to encourage mowing of provincial highway ditches earlier in the year to provide improved wildlife visibility, which may result in fewer accidents, fewer injuries, and less expense to the Saskatchewan Government Insurance Agency.
Okay, mover, mic number 4.
Alan Krauser, RM 38.
Okay, would you like to speak?
Just briefly.
Okay.
Some highways are mowed a little earlier in the summer. A lot of them, secondary highways, aren't mowed until September or October. It is an awful health hazard or vehicle risk. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, doesn't appear that there is anyone else. I will call for the question. Vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed.
It's no life of living on a chain gang. I dig that ditch, I chop that cord, and curse the day that I was born. I believe it's better for a man to hang than work like a dog on.
That resolution is carried, 75.2%. Next one is resolution number 25.
Spread of noxious weeds, resolution 25-18M, RM of Laurier, number 38. Be it resolved that SARM approach the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure to control the spread of noxious weeds adjacent to highways.
So I've got Mike 4. Would you like to move it?
Yes, Alan Krauser, RM 38.
Okay, go ahead if you'd like to speak.
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I will call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor, 2 opposed.
Tonight I feel like an old violin, soon to be put away and never play.
That resolution is carried, 94.6%. Next one is resolution 26.
Bylaw enforcement, weight restrictions, 26-18M, RM of Spy Hill, number 152. Be it resolved that all RCMP members must have weights and measures training so that they can enforce weight restrictions under municipal bylaws.
Okay, mover, mic number 1.
Yeah, RM 152.
And if you'd like to speak, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it's Glenn, the RM of Spy Hill. We have a couple of roads that have the TMS surfaces on for the heavy traffic around the potash mines. We're have weight restrictions on them, but we're having an awful hard time to control the heavy trucks and keep them off. We've discussed it with our local RCMP detachment, and they've been very helpful. The problem is they've had such a turnover of officers in that detachment, there's nobody there that is trained in the weights and measures. And they are the only ones that will actually even bother on RM Road. So we appreciate if SARM could actually lobby the government to get more of their RCMP officers trained in the weights and measures part of the Traffic Act, please.
Okay, is there anyone else? Mike, number 2, I see a gentleman approaching there.
Roman Charco, the RM of 486. I would urge you guys to oppose it. The RCMP can't do what they have to do already, and they're not trained for that. That's why we have traffic cops, or whatever you want to call them, highway patrol, to do the work. That's their job. The RCMP can't do what we request them to do. So why would we put that burden on them? Thank you. All right. So I oppose this motion.
Okay, Mike number 3, and then 4. Okay, go ahead, Teresa.
Ray, Teresa Walker, RM of Walpole, number 92. Would the RM of Spy Hill accept a friendly amendment to say some RCMP members rather than all? I think all is out of the question. How can they afford that? But it would be nice to have some.
Would you accept that as a amendment? The gentleman that moved the resolution. Would you consider that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, the RM would
Okay.
consider that, Ray.
Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment. If we can put the amendment up, it is basically that some RCMP members must have weights and measures training. Okay, so is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, we'll vote on the amendment now. All in favor of the amendment? Use your clickers, vote in favor, 1 or 2 opposed. Okay, that amendment is carried, 50.9%. Now we're going to continue debate on the resolution as amended. Go back to Mike number 4.
McKnight, RM 520. Our RM actually works into the arm of Lakeland where all the resort areas are. We get robbed so much, if I seen an RCMP weighing somebody, I'd be pretty ticked. I woke up yesterday morning, drove out of my driveway. We had conservation officers, highway traffic officers, bylaw officers, RCMP, Prince Albert City Police, and the dog unit. That's what our guys are doing. They're not weighing trucks. 5 people they chased for 6 hours, and I'll give them credit. They got all 5 of them. They had to track them through the bush, but they got them.
Mike number 2, would you like to speak to the resolution?
Yes, under the Municipal Act or RM or whatever, all RMs on our municipal roads can call in the Highway Traffic Patrol at any time, and they will come anytime. Yes, they will.
Okay, I've got, go back to Mike number 1.
Yes, Ray, and I realize that this will end the discussion. We have had 4 traffic officers sitting at the table at council. They told us that they actually are not instructed or definitely do not want to be on RM grid roads. The local RCMP traffic officer was quite helpful, but none of their people are qualified to do that job. We just figured it would expedite the process if they were fully trained when they come out to rural Saskatchewan. I appreciate these issues that we're having in the other areas, but at the same time, it's ruining our infrastructure in our RM.
Okay, I'm ready to call the question. You can vote now, vote 1 in favor, or vote 2 opposed.
What you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you? Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do.
Okay, that's lost, 82.4%. Opposed. Resolution number 27.
Club route and crop insurance coverage, 27-18M, RM of Humboldt, number 370. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to deny crop insurance coverage to producers who seed canola consecutively on their land.
I see a gentleman at mic number 1. Would you like to move it?
Yes, Luke, RM 370.
Okay, and would you like to speak to it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Where the provincial government through Saskatchewan Agriculture is looking for ways to control the spread of clubroot, Saskatchewan Agriculture through the Saskatchewan Crop Insurance needs to demonstrate that leadership and that makes seeding canola on canola an unacceptable farming practice. With the spread of seeding, with seeding canola on canola a high-risk practice and the help of spreading the clubroot, and with the clubroot's detriment to the canola industry, so it be that Saskatchewan Crop Insurance deny canola crop coverage on all acres when canola is seeded back to back. Clubroot, so I'd like you guys to support this resolution to control the spread of clubroot.
I see a gentleman coming to mic 4. Go ahead.
John Gordon on Martin 122. One of the problems we got with clubroot is that, I'm informed, is that the new resistant varieties, their resistance period is very limited. And so we can't really look to resistance as a cure-all. Apparently this organism can mutate in a year or two to make itself resistant to the resistant variety, if you get what I'm getting, if you see what I'm getting at. So I think these agronomic practices of leaving a gap in between canola, is a good idea.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? Okay, not seeing anyone, so I'll call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried, 73.8%. And resolution number 28.
Sask Power Demand Charge, White Valley number 49. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the government of Saskatchewan and Sask Power to help reduce the cost of the electrical demand charges to small community rinks.
Okay, mic 3, would you like to move it?
RM 49. It's pretty self-explanatory, so yes, I'd like to move it ahead, please.
Okay, anyone else? No one else? Okay, I will call for the question. You can vote now, 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried, 85.4%. Resolution number 29.
Sask Power claims for volunteer fire departments operating within rural municipality boundaries. Wakin number 93. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to have an independent body investigate Sask Power fires to determine the root cause of each fire. And be it further resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to set up a separate fund for volunteer fire departments to provide for the costs of the fires started by Sask Power equipment, whether it be due to the equipment failure or acts of nature.
Okay, a mover, mic 3.
I'm from the RM of Walpole, the neighbouring municipality, and I just had a message from the RM of Wakan asking me to speak to this resolution like 3 seconds ago. So on behalf of the RM of Wakan, I'll move it, if
Okay,
I'm allowed.
and would you like to speak to it?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? No one else? Okay, I'll call for the question. Vote now, 1 in favor, 2 opposed. That resolution is carried, 94.7%. Resolution number 30, please.
Two-plate licensing system, Division 4. Be it resolved that SARM petition the provincial government to instruct SGI to reinstate the two-plate licensing system on vehicles in Saskatchewan.
Okay, a mover. Mike, number 1.
Alan Pelegi, RM of Gary, number 245.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
Briefly, if I could, it's late in the day and everyone wants to get home. This resolution came out of a series of roundtable discussions that were posted by some of our MPs. And at these, we were discussing, ways to prevent the increase or seeming increase in crime in the rural areas. Among the other suggestions, it was brought up that the two-plate licensing system would be very beneficial in the identification of vehicles traveling down our country roads. I know if your RM is like ours, they're either muddy roads or dusty roads. Either way, it's pretty hard to read a plate on the back of a vehicle. Talking with various law enforcement agencies and officers, they've all been lobbying the government of Saskatchewan to reinstate the two-plate system. The one-plate system just isn't working. It's hard for them to get the plates. So I decided we should probably bring this up from the grassroots of the community through SARM and wish that we would take this forward. Sorry, I had to read my notes. I guess I should also mention that at this meeting there was a number of RMs and various RMs had the same ideas. There's also First Nations, small urban, rural, urban councils, and some of our SARM reps were there, all thinking this would be a good idea. Keep it brief. I would like you to support this motion and go from there.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, doesn't appear so. So let's vote on this resolution. Vote 1 in favor or 2 opposed. Okay, that resolution is carried, 52%. And the last resolution we have is resolution number 31.
Resolution 3118M, weed control on organic farmland, sponsored by the Arm of Silverwood, number 123, Arm of El Capo, number 154, Arm of Martin, 122, Arm of Kingsley, number 124, Arm of Walken, number 93. Be it resolved that SARM lobby Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada to ensure that organic certification bodies do not allow farmers certified as organic to have prohibited, noxious, and nuisance weeds to grow on their land.
Okay, a mover, Mike 4.
Aaron Jorgensen, Arm of Silverwood.
Okay, if you'd like to speak, go ahead.
Many RMs have spent much time and resources to control noxious weeds. Weed control can only be successful if ratepayers as well as RMs work together. There has in recent years been a large influx of noxious weeds present on organic farmland. With the RM being unable to spray pesticides on organic land, we have little resources available to control weeds. Organic certification bodies should also be concerned about this and they have the authority to remove organic status from such problem fields and producers. This will give much more incentive for organic farmers to control noxious weeds as well as RMs to control weeds once certification is removed. Large corporate style farms are moving through 2 and 3 RMs at a time to farm the land. This is only accelerating the spread of these noxious weeds. If the weeds are not being controlled effectively, organic certification bodies must be holding the producer accountable.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote on this resolution. 1 in favor or 2 opposed. That resolution is carried, 82.5%. So that's the last resolution that we're dealing with. And I'm just going to mention we have until 5 o'clock this afternoon. If you want to turn in a point of privilege resolution, we'll make sure there's someone here to take the resolution. Tomorrow morning, be back here at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be dealing with the point of privilege resolution. So thank you very much for your diligence, and thanks for the readers as well for doing such a great job. What does he want? I don't know. People won't hear.